Getting text messages for almost 2 years from an unknown number would change anybody's life forever. But imagine if that person knew all of your secrets and insecurities because they gave birth to you. You can tell by the intro of this video, there will be spoilers throughout this whole entire review. So if you have not watched Unknown Number, the high school catfish, go on over to Netflix, binge watch it. It's only less than 2 hours long, and then come back and chat with us in the comment section because woo, we got a lot to talk about from a licensed therapist perspective. But of course, I want to hear from you. Put in the comment section, what did you think about this documentary? What did you think about Lauren, the daughter, Owen, and also Kendra, the mom, because I know y'all got a lot to say about her. Now, I'll just get straight into it. I professionally and personally do not think that this documentary should have been made, or at least it should have been created once all of the minors involved in this became adults. To me, it felt extremely irresponsible for this production company and for Netflix to put out this documentary and to basically re-traumatize these children and their families all over again. Because we have to remember, this is still very recent. These things just happened a few years ago and they're still experiencing this. I often talk to you guys about nonverbal communication and body language. And when I was watching this, I couldn't help but notice that all of the minors, all of the children were anxious. They were nervous when they were talking. They were looking away. And a few of them even became tearful. That wasn't enough to say that this is very uncomfortable with these minor children who are still being involved and this is very triggering to them. I don't know what else needs to be said. But the fact that Netflix gaslit every single one of us by allowing Kendra, the mom, be a part of this documentary, especially in the beginning, recanting the story as if she wasn't the culprit. Now, you can let me know what you think about this part, but I don't think having her in the documentary and sharing her experience or her perspective added any value to this. Now, obviously, it made for good TV and a good documentary, but she never really answered the real question of why? Girl, why did you do this? She never answered that directly, and that was the question that we all wanted answered. I took it upon myself to do some further research outside of the documentary, and I read an article on Cut where it talked about how the producers or even the camera people felt like she, i.e. Kendra, didn't even truly know why she did it either. So they felt like they didn't get a direct answer of why as well. A random side note, I don't think the person that was interviewing her behind the camera had the correct questions, but that's another topic for another day. Now, obviously, Kendra Licari experienced a lot of trauma in her own childhood and her own upbringing. Now, I will never ever, especially as a licensed therapist, minimize someone's experience. But also at the same time, I did not feel like she took any type of accountability for her actions at all. She equated what she did to like, everybody does things that are illegal and inappropriate and drunk driving and all of these things. And it's like, ma'am, please do not compare the two because this is not what we're talking about here. That's when I realized that she had some extreme mental health challenges. And I created a separate video, which I'll link on screen and put in the description for you to check out, providing my professional perspective on what I think her diagnosis would be. Because some of you guys are saying she's a narcissist, or she's just a bad mom, or this is Munchausen's by proxy. But I have a different perspective, so make sure you check that out after watching this video. Oh, and while we're here, I have found out that only 4 to 5% of you guys who watch my videos are subscribed to my channel. We need to get that number way up. So if you can please do me a favor, it would mean the world to me if you are enjoying this video or any of my other ones to press the subscribe button to stay connected while I create videos like this for y'all every single week. Now let's get back to the topic. Now, not only did she not take any accountability for her actions, but she also ruined not only her life, but everybody else's life that were attached to hers, family, friends, her daughter's friends, and everybody in their small little town. I've never even heard of this small little town, but now everybody in the world knows. If I'm being honest, I had so many questions like, why wasn't CPS, Child Protective Services, involved immediately when the officer, and even the FBI knew that the mother was the one cyberbullying her own daughter? This was a clear case of emotional, psychological abuse, manipulation, control, and even a whole bunch of weird sexual things that she shouldn't have been saying to anybody was involved in this. And once the FBI and the police officer found out that she was lying also about her employment, this should have been red flags for everybody to say, okay, this isn't just a normal case here. This is a deeper issue, and mental illness is sprinkled all around here. The Cut article that I mentioned earlier in this video even mentioned that she got fired from one of those jobs because she did too much non-work texting and calling. Baby, that's probably because she was too busy spamming and cyberbullying her own daughter all day that she got let go from her previous jobs. And to keep up with that level of lies and manipulation and everything that they experienced, I mean, y'all need to go read that Cut article because it provided way more details than what this documentary was able to provide. Because it talked about them and her lying about their home and getting evicted and all of these different lies. And I was just like blown away at the extent at which she went when all she needed to do was just go and find another job. I don't believe in lying, but even if you didn't want your husband to find out, you could have went and found another job in the meantime and in between time and said, hey babe, I transitioned or something else happened. And then there wouldn't be a huge disruption in your family in regards to financial issues. Because this world is so wicked and twisted, I read so many articles on Reddit and threads that said that you guys think that Lauren was the one sending herself those text messages initially, and then her mom was the one who picked up and continued the conversation. Understanding the manipulation that this child, this minor, went through. Can you imagine if this type of person, Kendra, was your mother and how that impacted you, your childhood, and your whole high school experience? The police and the FBI also did a horrible job at explaining to Lauren what was going down. People kept saying, well, the actual footage of her when the police was there, like she didn't have any facial expression and she was just like, didn't have any emotions. And I'm like, one, she's a minor. Two, the police officer never explicitly came out and said, hey, by the way, your mom is the one that has been sending you these text messages for the last 2 years. He just kind of went around it a little bit and saying, you know, adults make, you know, poor choices and things. Like, he never explicitly said. So she looked kind of confused, like what's happening, all the way up until the moment when her dad came home and things became a little bit more clear. The fact that the police officer allowed the mom to console the daughter in real time when she was the culprit blew my mind. This is why Child Protective Services should have been involved in this initially as well. And the father seemed a little clueless, but also there were tons of big red flags and Blue's Clues all over this case that should have signaled to him that this was a bigger issue than what it was. The level of obsession that she had with her daughter and Owen, especially the text messages that were very sexual in nature that you were saying to a minor, a 14-year-old, your own daughter, was mind-blowing to me. I absolutely believe that she has some type of obsession with Owen, and she should probably be registered as a sex offender because there was pedophilia all around this whole case. Being honest, I think the sentence that she received was way too light. You cyberbullied your own daughter, went to prison, and then they allowed you to have the same access to the technology where you can email and love bomb your daughter throughout your whole prison sentence. Why didn't someone say, hey, you should not have access to technology in this way where you can actually contact your victim, even if it is your daughter? I feel like the ball was dropped so many times throughout this whole case from beginning to end. And the part that made me extremely sad was that Kendra was saying that she at no point thought that her daughter would die by suicide or harm herself in some way. She simply said, well, I know my daughter and my daughter would never do something like that. So it didn't matter what I said to her, even if I told her to kill herself. Girl, what? These are the types of cases that we see on the news, where children die by suicide or have some extreme self-harm because pressures like this become too much. These are the stories that we see online when mass shootings of schools tend to happen, because that could have very well been this case. Lauren, Owen, somebody could have been saying enough is enough and I don't know who is sending me these text messages, so I'm going to kill everybody. There was just so many times where safety wasn't number one. And I know all of the parents were like, if we changed her number and got her a new phone, we would have never known who the person was. But again, safety is number one. So I would have changed my child's phone number, blocked, changed the phone number, and did all of the things from the beginning. Obviously, we know this would have kept happening because her mom was the one who was sending the text messages, so she would have got the new number. But still, there weren't things in place to make sure that these minor children were safe. I know there was so much more that we could have talked about. I want you to check out this video right here where I discuss what I think from a professional perspective is Kendra Licari's mental health diagnosis.